What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, coming back at you tonight to do another lake breakdown. That's right, it's time to do another lake breakdown. You know I'm not going to stop doing those. We have tons of them out there. Out on the website, simplisticfishing.com, have over 180 lakes out there now, guys. You got to go check it out. Anyways, tonight we're jumping into Lake Proctor. Let's see what we found. Well, like we always do, we come out to the Texas Park and Wildlife fishing page to see what type of information we can find on these lakes here in Texas. So I'm just going to go through some of the highlights here so we can get a pretty good understanding of what this lake is. So the location is on the Savannah and Leon Rivers in Comanche County off of US 67 between the towns of Comanche and Proctor. Hopefully I'm saying those right. The surface area is 4,537 acres. Maximum depth is only 34 feet, so not too deep, and it was impounded in 1963. You can always check here to look at the current lake levels, but you can see conservation pool is 1,162 feet, so just look at that. That'll kind of give you an idea of where it's at. Fluctuation is moderate, sometimes prone to long periods with dropping water levels. We are going to see that in this breakdown. The droughts have definitely exposed some stuff for us to be able to see here from the mapping side. Normal clarity is slightly stained to stained with visibility up to 3 feet. So probably not too much of a really deep type fishing, you know, just because the water's going to be a little bit stained. Visibility up to 3 feet is actually pretty decent though. So I guess it would all just depend. We'd have to go out there and check it out. So let's keep moving down, see what else we could find. Aquatic vegetation, none. So that's kind of a bummer. Predominant fish species, largemouth bass, white crappie, hybrid striped bass, channel blue, and flathead catfish. You can look down here at their little chart for angling opportunities. It shows the largemouth as being fair, the catfish being good, the crappie being excellent, white bass shows good, hybrid striped bass fair, and sunfish is fair. It talks a little bit about some habitat structures that they put out there. We'll talk about those in the breakdown. And then if I looked under tips and tactics, it doesn't really talk too much about bass fishing. So whoever wrote this fishing report for Texas Park and Wildlife, they must not really be a largemouth bass fisherman because there's just not much there. Really, they talk about it right here. Flipping plastic worms and jigs is probably the most effective technique for largemouth bass. I don't know. I'm sure it is. I'm sure those work. Plastic worms always work. Jigs always work. That's a given, but there's probably some other ways we can catch some fish here. Some other cool things that are on here, if you go up here and look at the lake records, it actually has a lake record of almost a 14-pounder, 1396 in 2004. So it's been a while since a big fish has been posted out here, but it does show that there has been big fish in here in the past. And then if you go out here and you look at the stocking history, I've started looking at that as well. It kind of gives me an idea of whether or not this lake's really, you know, used a lot for bass fishing. If it is, you're going to see them stock them a lot. If it's not, you're going to see more of the catfish and stuff like that. Well, if you look here, 2023, 2022, it's all catfish. And then I don't even know what a sunshine bass is, but we've got bass here. And then we've also got largemouth Florida bass right here, here, and here. So, and this palmetto bass, I don't even know what those are. So a lot of bass species being pumped into here. And you can see it was pretty heavy in 2015 all the way through 2019. So there's got to be a decent population of fish in here just based on what they've been pumping out here. So our next step really is to just go out, take a look at Google Earth, see what we can find. Then we'll probably switch over to Navionics, talk about it from an offshore standpoint as well, although most of the stuff we're going to see on Google Earth is offshore when the lake is at normal pool. So let's go ahead and jump over there, see what we can find. Here we are out on Google Earth, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at all the things that we can find from a really a fish attractor standpoint. So any of the high percentage areas, anything like that that's going to stick out, we're going to go ahead and mark it on this map. So I do want to let you know that if I move it up to 2023, unfortunately the lake is at a really all-time low right now. We're actually going to use that image, the 2023 image, to find things. So that's going to make it a little bit tougher if you're going out right now. I'm doing this video on the 7th, the evening of the 7th of December of 2023. So the water is probably extremely low right now. Hopefully we can get some rain going on and get this lake back up to normal. But in this image that you see right here, this is 2019. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is the lake more at normal pool. And then of course, I'll show you guys here in a minute what 2023 looks like. So let's look over here at the left-hand side and show you how we have this broken down. So I've got it broken down to a couple different categories. First off, we've got the channels. So there's some really good channels in this lake. In fact, there's one back here that I just noticed when I was messing around preparing for this video that I might be able to mark back here, but it's a little sketchy. But these other ones, I definitely can tell that there's a channel here. And so you'll notice we've got these marked with these green lines. This is actually, I think, like a channel that comes out here and kind of busts out into two different swings, but you'll see it in a minute when I draw the water down. But here we've got a nice little channel or a ditch there, and then a really good channel coming through here too. And you can kind of see this is somewhat of a creek swing up here as well. Now, there is a ton of brush in this lake, a ton of willow trees and things like that. So that's also, you know, gonna come big time into play for bass fishing. They love those willow trees, and being able to find the corners and the edges of those trees when they get out there into a little bit deeper water, and then also fishing over the tops of them can be good fishing as well. So lots of good stuff. Sounds like you got a lot of good cover in this lake for sure. Now we also have the offshore spots. This is where you're going to see the date change. So when I double click it, it only goes to the date that I actually brought in and went out to the mapping on Navionics Mobile and marked these offshore spots. So like I was saying before, here we are, 1223 is the image. Some of these offshore spots are actually on the shore right now. I mean, this lake is extremely low right now. These offshore spots here, that point's still in play. This one's still in play, but some of this stuff is not even in play anymore. That one's still going to be in play. But we'll go through those offshore things and we'll look at them from the Navionics side when the water is at normal pool, so you'll understand why we've picked these offshore spots. We've also got ramps and slabs, not too many of them, but definitely a handful. And you know, if you've watched any of my lake breakdowns before, these are great places to catch fish. So if you find some ramps that aren't being used that much, or even the ones that are, as long as you're not getting in people's way, fish those ramps, fish them with wobble heads, shaky heads, all kinds of good stuff like that. And you'll be surprised at what you can catch off of these boat ramps. Now we've also got roads and bridges. So there's a road that's back here. You can kind of see it right here in this 2023 image because the water's down so low. There's that creek channel I was telling you about. I was thinking about marking right there because that one looks pretty healthy. And then over here, you've got some more roads. You've got a road and a bridge that kind of comes across here. We'll talk about that stuff. We'll also look at that on the Navionics Mobile boating app so you can see it on there as well. We've also got a lot of structure and cover. That's going to be your humps, your flats, and then your cover being, you know, rocks, debris, all kinds of stuff like that. So we'll talk about that. And then last but not least, we have the Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractor. So I basically just went out there to that site we were just on, Texas Park and Wildlife, got the coordinates for those fish attractors, and then imported them into here. So that way, when you're out there on the water and you import these all into your graph, you've got everything. The Texas Park and Wildlife fish stuff, you got all the cover, all the structure, all the offshore stuff. You have basically this whole entire lake is going to be broken down right there on your unit. And then also you'll get this file, the Google Earth file, that will allow you to go in here and really kind of plan for your trip, right? See what's available. Right now, this would be a great planning tool because the water's down so low. So that's going to eliminate a lot of the stuff, right? Because that water is so low. So get out here, take a look at this. They're going to pop out like crazy, the good spots right there. You know, that stands out big time to me. That hump there, I don't see the hump, so that's got to be good. Anything that's actually still in the water is going to come in play. These fish attractors are going to come in play, stuff like that. So let's go ahead, and normally I would say we're going to move the date down to where the water's the lowest, but this really is one of the lowest. I think we can go back to 2015, but it doesn't give us that good image. 2015, around that time frame, 2012 to 2015, the water was pretty low then too. You can see it's pretty low back here, but it's not as low as it was in 2023 as it is right now. So I don't know if we're at an all-time low or not. We can go look at the water levels, but you know, you can just tell here by the imaging that this lake's hurting right now. So let's go ahead and start over here at the dam. Typically is where we start. I guess this is the dam. Everything's so dry. We're just going to call this the dam for right now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the side and take off that sidebar so we can see everything here. And I'm also going to take off the offshore stuff, because we're going to look at the offshore stuff from a different app, so it makes a little bit more sense when we're looking at it from that app. So I'm going to take off the offshore stuff, go back here, put that sidebar on, and let's just start down here at the dam. So the first thing we see at the dam, obviously the dam's usually a really good place to fish because it has a lot of riprap and stuff like that. But you can see here the water's so low that the riprap is now out of play. So now you're just down into basically the mud bottom that's down here by the dam. You'll want to look down here though, if there's any type of creek channel coming into this that they've blocked off or anything like that. That area where that creek channel comes in is typically going to be a higher percentage area. So check those out. You know, we'll actually look at it on the mobile app and see if there's anything down here. So let's just keep on moving up, see what we can find. Now remember that image back from 2019, all of this stuff that we're looking at, here's a 2016 image, all this stuff that we're looking at is not exposed. So we just got to get that water back up to where we want it. So here we are, we've got the boat ramp here. We got some really healthy rock around this boat ramp, just really good like little rock ledges and stuff like that. I'd imagine this is still in play because it looks like it goes pretty far out there as far as that little point there. But you just got a real good transition going on right here. This area right here by the boat ramp just looks really, really good. We've also got some more rocks that are over here. You can see where I've marked all these different little rocky spots, these little rocky points, and these little cut-ins. Those are great places to fish. Right now they're not because they're on the shore. But you can see here we've marked it. Got another good little rocky point right here. Now this would come into play, so you could go out there today and actually fish this one, fish around this point. This is a harder area point and actually coming off a mud bottom. So right there in that transition area, it's going to be a really good place to fish, and really anywhere around that point. So you can see here, I'll back that up and just show you. We didn't go very far, we just went right up to here. So let's keep moving on up, see what else we can find here. We got some debris that's out here. You can barely see it, the image is all jacked up today, but we've also got some more debris there and then some more right in here too. So really you're looking at, actually you can see it now that it's caught up with me, but you can see the little debris there. Those things are killer, and you'll usually find those things when they're out here off of these fishing piers. The fishing piers, it's like anywhere around them. Fishing inside these piers too can be really good too, like fishing up on the pier. As long as there's nobody out there fishing, those can be really good, but there's always brush piles and stuff outside these things that you can go fish. So let's keep moving up. I'm sure we probably hit that from an offshore spot. We got a nice little pond dam that's here too. Really, really cool. Again, if we pull the water back to we'll just go to 2022, just a year from now, the water's still down low, but that pond dam now comes into play. So that's going to be a good little area right there. Fishing around that pond dam on the outside and the inside. Fish the inside right in here too. They like that inside, but they also like the outside of them too. Really they're just good. Pond dams are just really, really good places to fish. All right, keep moving up here. We've got a couple house foundations. You can kind of see them. There's a couple. They're all scattered throughout here. And this would be great. I mean, this would be money to go out and fish this stuff. There's one out here that's still in play that you can fish. You can see some additional rock and some debris. This is great stuff to fish for sure, especially when that water comes up. That house is definitely going to be in play. And that pond for sure too. Got another like little mini pond here as well. I'm not sure what's going on. Looks like the willow bushes are starting to take over that whole area. So you could look in there if the water gets up high enough, but you've got a Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractor that's over here too that you could check out. As we move on up, we got a hump. We'll talk about that one when we get out to the Navionics mobile app. We're just going to keep marking these little rocky spots. And I like, this lake's pretty cool, at least down here, because you've got a lot of transition areas. And what I mean by that is like, you got rock and then all of a sudden, boom, it just goes to dirt. Well, if you can find that transition, that line of where that rock stops and that dirt starts, like right in here, they like to hang out on those lines. So check that out when you're out there. We also got some more rocks, more rock here, hard point leading out. Same type thing, just a lot of rocky areas around here. Leaving rock back behind this little fishing pier that's here. You know that fishing pier's got some stuff out here that's got to be worthy of fishing. So come out here, scan around the fishing pier. I guarantee there's a brush pile or something that's out here right outside the edge of that fishing pier. We've got another ramp here, more rock as you see coming up here. These are all just little rocky areas. So we just marked them all. Now again, all this comes into play when the water comes back up. Right now, it's basically pointless. This is actually a clearer image of that rock. You can really see it now. But It didn't come into play until we were back in what, 2020, I think was the last time that this stuff really came into play. 2016 is a beautiful image that everything's up, this rock's all in play, that slab's hidden, all kinds of good stuff. So let's just pray for a lot of rain. We got some more Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors here. There's that slab we were pointing out. You can see it's kind of hidden in here. It's even got some growth on it. Nice little hard spot though. Rocks, more house foundations. There's a road that comes through here. It's actually, I think it must have been part of what that slab is. That might be the old road, but it looks like it cuts across here. There's a bridge out here and another road out here. And we'll look at that when we get out on Navionics Mobile. Another boat ramp here as well. This one's actually, you can't even, well, I guess you can still use this. It's looking a little rough, but if you want to risk it, you could go up there and try that boat ramp. Some brush down here as well, just a little brush pile. Moving on up, let me show you guys back out here, show you guys where I'm at. And I've moved from the dam and I've worked my way up here. I'm just staying on this east side. You got some debris that's up here as well as some rock. So if we zoom in, here's the rocky stuff, but it looks like there's some debris and stuff mixed into it as well. So right in here could be good. Maybe that stuff gets further out here. Notice how it's pretty shallow here, and then all of a sudden it breaks off to right in that area. Let's see, that's the best image I can get, but I would say right around in this little spot. It's going to be pretty good as well. That flat's going to be money when the water comes up. Some more rock in here as well. Again, you got these little, looks like some underwater bushes or something. Maybe you could fish around some of that stuff, but this is looking pretty hairy up here, looking pretty thin. Getting up here, just lay down some more debris and rocks. I'm not going to spend too much time up here because this really isn't in play, but I just noticed I can see that creek channel now. So what I'll do is I'll update this to have that creek channel come all the way down. And that's what I would do, is I would focus on that creek channel. Now this water's black, so I don't know if that means it's like, you know, there's nothing there or what is going on. This is a very strange looking image, but I can definitely see that creek channel. And so basically if the water's up, right, you're gonna find that creek channel and fish those swings. Some timber here, here's some timber around some swings. There's a good swing there. Some more timber up here too, just a lot of timber that we marked for you guys. But following this little creek channel down could be fun. And then as you come down here and notice it swings up against that hump, that could be really good. This little turn here, this little bend right here could be good. You just have to get in there and just kind of follow it. But I'll go ahead and mark that for you guys. In fact, we could probably do it right here as we're speaking. And let's just go ahead and mark that thing. I'm not sure where to go here. We're gonna go right here. This kind of, and we're just going to mark this whole entire thing. And then now when you put this on your graph, you're going to see this entire creek channel. And when you're out there, you'll be able, as long as the water, you can't do it right now because it's way too shallow right now. But when that water comes up, that is going to be a really good area to focus on. Look like there's a fence line right there too. Man, this is stupid shallow. I don't even think there's any water here. So this creek channel is done. But fishing that little fence line too, notice that little fence line right there? There's one right here and there's another one over here too. Or no, those are just tire tracks or something. I don't know what that is. But that fence line could definitely come into play. So I might mark that one for you guys too. But let me finish this creek channel real quick so we can keep this video going. Notice I'm just following it down and I'm just gonna mark it. And literally I would come out here if the water was up and I would just follow this creek channel. And I would just scan and scan and scan until I saw some debris and stuff, or any hard spots or creek channel swings, any of those good areas that I could come into and see if there's any fish there. So there's that channel. Now it's a lot bigger. Check that out. Now that thing's huge. So really good channel there. Let's keep going. We got more laydowns down in these areas. They're just kind of hard to see, especially on this image. We're gonna have to get back to like 2013. Kind of shows us there's these laydowns in here. There's so much growth everywhere, it's very hard to tell. These laydowns could have moved by now too. We've got some more debris that's back in here, you can see. And I kind of like this little cut in here, this little ditch. But if you look at this in here where we have this mark, there's like a little silo looking thing, but that looks like rock in there too. So very interesting. Bring it up to 2023 and you can't even tell that's there. So you got to kind of mess around. But then again, there's another little channel that's swinging right in here too that looks like it could come into play. It doesn't look as good as the other ones. So we won't mark that one. So let's keep moving down. We've got Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors right here. We've got some rock that's in here. Now, this is obviously just looking at this. Here's some more laydowns, and that there's an old pond that's back here too. But just looking at this from a fishing standpoint, you can tell this is a creek channel swing, right? It's just, it stands out. There's your flat point that's on this side, and then here's your swing on this side. So come over here and scan this area. I can't see much from an imaging standpoint, especially with the water being this low. You know, I can see everything up until that point, but if there's anything else out here, I'm not going to be able to see it. But my guess is there's got to be something, especially like right on the edges of these things, right in here, and then wherever this creek channel comes up and swings off, right at the end of that, that's going to be the areas that I seem to have the most success at. All right, let's keep moving down. We got more rock in here. Some really good points out here, really good rocky points. Another boat ramp. This one's not even, you can't even use this one now because the water's down too stinking low. They got another pretty decent point there. I got a feeling we probably marked that as an offshore thing. Then when the water does come into play, you've got this road bed that's out here. Notice how it's going through here. If you could get up there and the water was right, you're going to have a little bit of a line there to fish around. You could fish around that road bed. It looks like it cuts across and then dives out here into the water. Really good flats out here too, and a nice hump. All kinds of good stuff. We just, again, you know, just need the water to come up for us so we can put these things into play. Lots more rock here, good rocky points all the way down through here. I'll back up, kind of show you where I'm at. So I've gone through this area now. Getting up in here, just again, some more good little rocky areas, good rocky points all through here. Here's 2 fish attractors. Those are gonna be in play. They're finally in the water, right? So we can actually take advantage of those right now. So you'll wanna look at those. I know a lot of you guys are gonna say those are for crappie, but trust me, those things can have bass on them. If there's crappie there, there's bass close by as well. So always look at those. They're not always 100% the greatest places to go look, but I have caught plenty of fish off those Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors, and I don't crappie fish. All right, so we've got rock here as well. Some more pretty decent little points out here we might talk about from an offshore standpoint. Some more rock. Here's a hump out here. The problem with this hump is there's nothing on it. It just looks bare. So if you could find any rock or any kind of debris or cover on this hump, that's probably where they're going to relate to. You just got to find it. You can't see it here on the imaging. Another ramp over here. Here's some more fish attractors that are going to come into play. And then we get back here, we're in this massive flat that's back here, you know, super shallow. You got these flats that are back here. You got the road bed, another pond. But again, none of this is into play, but you do have it back there. There is a channel back here. You can kind of see it, but it's almost like that channel's been washed out completely. So it's not much of a channel anymore. So I'm not really going to mark that one either. There's no depth to that channel at all. So then moving over here, we're going to keep moving down. We get back over here, we've got the boat ramp. We got more rocks all around these fishing piers. Again, anywhere you see these fishing piers, go and scan around them. Make sure there's nobody out there fishing. Respect the guys that have to fish off the pier. We got a boat, we can go wherever we want. But if there's nobody there, especially in the wintertime, get up there and fish around those things for sure. Boat ramps, more rock, additional rock right in here as well. You can just see these little rocky points. More rock, more rock. Is that another fishing pier? Yet another fishing pier that's out of the water. You know what? Let's take this rock and let's move it to that rock, because that rock is a little more isolated than some of this other stuff, and I kind of like that. I didn't see that the first time. We've also got more rock in here. You know, fishing off this point could be decent. More rock, more ramps. This ramp is not doable anymore either. It basically runs out, so it's not going to come into play. More rock in there as well, and then you got another road bed that cuts across here. That could come into play. If that road bed's still there and there's still some debris from that road, those are really good spots to find fish, especially when the water's low like this. They're going to go to whatever cover they can find. Hard spots especially, but if there's any type of cover that's out there, they've lost almost all their shallow covers. So now they're going to go to the next piece of cover they can find, whether that be cover or whether that be structure. But more than likely, they're going to go to the harder areas, especially in the wintertime. So this road bed is definitely going to come into play. Got rocks here, more Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors, a ramp. Here's the dam. Got some more rock around the dam. I guess we could take this one out because you can't go fish back there. So we'll take that one out, but you could get right up in here pretty close to it. And then we're going to circle back. We're back to what I called the dam originally, which I guess is still part of the dam. And you just got that little bit of rock right in here. And then of course, we're probably going to talk about these offshore things because that's going to be pretty much what we're going to have to rely on right now until the water comes back up. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and switch over to Navionics mobile app and let's look at the offshore stuff. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started here on the offshore part of Proctor Lake, which it's got some pretty good looking offshore spots that I think you definitely want to go check out. Now, remember when we were looking at the imagery, this stuff gets pretty shallow back in here, especially with the water being down so low. But at normal pool, a lot of these things are definitely going to come into play. So let's go ahead and let's just start at the top. We'll just work our way down. We don't have to go east to west here like we typically do. But let's just take a look at some of this stuff. So you guys hear me talk about this all the time, about following the creek channel, right? Follow the creek channel. If it comes anywhere close to anything, you want to go fish it. Well, I didn't mark this spot up here, but go ahead and check this spot right in here. And then of course, this spot I went ahead and marked for you guys. But anytime you can find where it gets really steep and then kind of starts to kind of, I guess, go off into more shallower water, taper off into shallower water, those are great places to fish. And right here is right before that creek channel swing. And then wherever it starts to pull off, you'll want to look there too. Now also right here, really like this little hump that's out here. Looks like it's got some pretty good depth that comes off the side of it. On this side, it's got a nice little saddle out there as well. And it's fairly close to this river channel. So I'm going to scoot on down. Next thing we're going to see is right here, right after this big turn. Got a pretty good little point that's over here. You can see it right here. Really like it, fairly close to the creek channel bend, but just a really good little point. It probably goes up into some kind of a spawning flat that's up here too, so really good staging point for them as well. That's going to be a good point most times of the year for sure. And then if we move over here, you see these Proctor fishing spots. You're going to see these throughout. These are those Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors that we put out there on Google Earth. So you'll see those here. If you're wondering why I'm skipping over them, it's because they're pretty much just out in the middle of the water, but we've already marked them anyways. So next thing I want you to look at is right over here. Look at this nice big old flat that's right here, right around this creek channel. This creek channel is going to turn, and it turns right in front of where this little point is right here with this giant flat on top of it. That just looks juicy. You definitely want to take a look at that. You come down here, you got some pretty good little points out here as well. Another spot that's a little bit hidden here is right in here. Notice how those contours get a lot tighter right there. If I zoom in, it's probably not going to look as good, but it does look like you might have a little bit of a point going on right in here that's really close to this river channel. So right there too, make sure to take a look at that. All right, let's keep moving up. You didn't see too much up here. You could definitely fish these points that are out here on the outside of these little coves and things like that. And you've got good flats back here too on all of these little areas, especially right up in here. It's got a really nice flat. But I didn't see anything really from an offshore standpoint up in this area that really got my attention. But this long point that comes out across here, that definitely got my attention. Fishing, pretty much you want to scan all the way around here, but this is a great offshore area right in here where you should be able to locate them pretty good. All right, so let's move it back over here. Next thing up we're going to see is this nice little point that comes out, comes really close to the river channel as well. Might have some debris and stuff like that down there. You've also got that little Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractor that's over here. If we hop over to the other side, notice that giant ledge that's right there. Like you can see where it's a little bit flat and then it drops. So I went ahead and marked that one for you. And then coming down here, you're going to kind of notice the same thing. You've got a little point here with really good drops on this side of it. It kind of flattens out. This one actually looked a little bit better. If you look at it, zoom in a little bit, it's got a nice little flat top on it. And then it cuts down, but the really deep area is going to be right in here off this side of it. So some good looking stuff there. I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth here as we get down the lake. In fact, let's just focus in on this section right here, because now we're down here towards the bottom. We just talked about that. Let's scoot over here. This is the next area, this little point that's right over here. Gonna notice when I zoom into it, there's some foundations or something like that around here as well. It looks like there's one there, one here, and one here. And if I remember right, we found some house foundations as well. That's gonna be a pretty good little area to go check out. And then I didn't put a mark out here, but the edge of this island where it comes out like this, that's gonna be a good spot. And then of course, right there where I put the marker at, where it gets close to that creek channel, that's going to be good as well. This is probably a community type area that you see a lot of people fishing around this point and over here on this side, but there's a reason they're fishing there, is because there's a lot of fish in that area. Then if we move over here, just looking over here, this is a nice big old flat that's back here. But when you get outside the edge of the flat, you get some pretty good little drops. And right here, there's actually a little cut in as well. So just wanted you to take a look at this stuff right in that area. Another good point down here on the southern side. Let's look at these real quick. We'll go into kind of this area and let's look at all the stuff that's here. So here we've got a nice point. Again, you've really got 3 really nice points that are right here that you could check out. And then if you look up here, you've got all these little fish markers. So let's zoom in here and see what the heck is going on here. And guess what? It's nothing. It's just a bunch of the Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors, or it could be other fish attractors there. But fishing that dock, if there's nobody in or around that dock, that's going to be a really good place to fish. And then also over here, this nice little rounded point that's going up into a pretty decent little flat that's up there. That looks like it could have some potential as well. I'm going to scoot this over a little bit so we can keep going. Let's talk about the next thing. This little point right in here. You'll see here, it's just a nice little rounded point, kind of the same thing that we looked at earlier. Down here, you've got your ledges as well. You got some pretty decent little ledges going off down here. And then probably one of the best spots in this whole area is going to be right here where the creek channel or the river channel comes here. I'm not sure which one this one is, but it's coming right across that point. It's a pretty well like a pinched area as well. So that's going to be really good right there. Check out these points over here as well, because they've got the creek channels coming through here. And then if we look over here on the left side, this is kind of a little hidden point here, but a pretty nice little point that comes out right around on this side too that I liked. Now, I didn't mark it. You might want to check this point out too. It's a little bit of ways from the creek channel, but maybe worthy of checking out. You got all these brush piles that are up here too. You've also got whatever this thing is. Looks like a hump, pretty decent size hump, but it goes up to 10 feet. Now it's saying that the whole thing's only 16 to 17 is what it's saying. So that might come up 5 or 6 feet. So that could be worthy too, just going out and checking out that hump. I didn't put a mark there, but that might be worth looking at. Then we're getting up here. It's starting to get a lot shallower. Just a couple more spots to show you. One was going to be right here. It's right where that fish attractor is, but there's also a little point that comes out there too that you could look at. Not much there. And then right here as well. Well, I guess the main thing here is that this is a major creek channel swing. So if you come up here and you look at it, it swings this way and kind of stays on that bank line until it gets to here. So starting basically where that little point was, I told you, all the way down through here is going to be good. And then right there looks really juicy, right where I put that mark at, right where it goes from deep to shallow. That seems to be some of the best places to find them at. And that, my friends, covers us for Proctor Lake. Hope you guys have enjoyed this breakdown. If you want the waypoints, all you have to do is go out to simplisticfishing.com, grab the waypoints. We've got 180 different lakes out there now, over 180 lakes to choose from. So if Proctor Lake's not your lake, don't worry. We've probably got your lake covered if it's in the state of Texas. And we also have other lakes outside of the state of Texas that have been requested and put out on the website too. So go check it out, simplisticfishing.com. And until next time, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.